Today we're gonna be talking about the movie Sinners, right? I know we always talk about gaming and other movies and stuff like that, but I feel like this episode is solely focused on like Sinners and like what was y'all experience like with Sinners? Because all of us seen it, right? And if you haven't seen the movie, this is gonna be spoiler heavy. So if you haven't seen the movie,
Tune out now.
you might as well go ahead and tune out right now.
Right,
But
right, right.
because we seen this movie and we probably gonna, I know I'm gonna go see it again over the weekend.
I'm gonna
But
see it at
Okay,
least two
cool.
more times. Like
see,
I'm gonna see it at
see,
least two more times. That movie.
I know people that actually seen it 3 times,
Yes,
man.
bro.
Like, so if you saying two more and I'm saying one more, Boogie probably gonna see it again too.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So, so my experience with it is that I didn't see it in IMAX, but I went to go to AMC theater where you got the recliner seats and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still went to go see it, and it's already a widescreen anyway. To see Ryan Coogler face when he looks at actual film, because there's a clip on TikTok with him and Michael B. Jordan like side by side, and it like looking at film strips, and Coogler's face is like this, like yeah, man, like he's
Look
just,
it up.
you know what I'm saying? So, to look at the ratio of the movie, I think it's the first one that was in. Like, I'm looking at it. Give me one quick second, because I had that lined up. Okay, so the sentence was captured on film. Kruger said, "Now that's the format that he fell in love with." And when he was in film school, so it's something that he was very, very passionate about while he's in film school. And I got it right here.
Okay, cool.
Well, not that clip that you're talking about, but it says that Sinners already had made some history because it's the first film to be shot at 2.76 by 1 aspect ratio, which Coogler pointed out classics like Ben-Hur and The Hateful Eight were shot on, but also in IMAX's 1.43 by 1 ratio. And Michael B. Jordan led horror film is the first to ever to be shot in both studios. Like, so, which is crazy. So I'm going to see it on IMAX. Like probably sometime over the
So
weekend.
I saw it in the Extreme NCG Extreme. So that's like they're huge screen. It was an experience for sure.
Yeah. What you
Did
think?
Ryan Coogler do Creed also?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say he was like executive producer of Creed, but he had his hands on it. He definitely had his hands on it.
Right.
Fruitvale Station was his claim to fame, though.
I thought that
Yeah.
thought that he directed Creed.
Not the first one. When I looked at his filmography, it said executive producer.
Okay.
But like, what was your experience like with the movie? Because I know we're gonna break this thing down, like, as far as like different characters and stuff. But what was your experience like? We first
I went
to
in there not knowing anything about it. I had watched a trailer, like a quick trailer, and I was like, all right, I'll go. I didn't know it was gonna be a vampire movie. You know what I'm saying? So like I pulled up and I was and I really didn't know what I was getting ready to watch. I just knew it was supposed to be like a horror-esque movie.
Yeah.
And then after watching it, I was blown I loved the music. I loved all the characters. I loved the costumes. I loved the way they casted it. The choreography was dope. The cinematography was dope. And it's funny how they used they used the story and some of the occurrences in the story to kind of tell it, almost as an analogy of kind of like the current political climate, right?
Yeah.
It's just you know it was really fun to watch. It was fun to watch and it was cool to see how they said in the beginning they have these in like 4 or 5 different cultures. Like in this culture they call it this, in this culture they call it this, in this culture they call it this, but really it's the same shit. You know what I mean? pretty much reach your ancestors through music, and like just through that there's some evil that can slip in every now and then. So it
Yeah,
was, I love the story. I love the story. Not knowing, seeing the Tommy gun in the trailer, and then I just didn't know where it was gonna go. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I feel
yeah.
like it's about to be too much. But
So
And you was right, Vivo. Like, so he did direct Creed, but he was a producer, executive producer for Creed 2. So he
okay,
directed Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, Creed, obviously Wakanda Forever, and Sinners.
okay. So I don't know if y'all remember, but seeing Black Panther for the first time and just having that sense of pride in seeing our culture displayed in full force on screen was
Mm-hmm.
kind of the same sense that I got when I was watching this, especially with that the dance scene,
Yeah, yeah.
especially too because and I've seen articles that kind of have gone into I haven't done all of my reading yet, but there
mhm.
are a number of articles out there that kind of are dissecting the dissect the film. And I know all of you have seen those. I wish I knew who the artist was, but those paintings, those what art style is that? You know what paintings I'm talking about,
Yeah,
depicting the
somebody in the back,
scene.
like in the
Yes,
backgrounds and stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah, depicting, being in a black nightclub, a jazz club, people are just, and it's like in this really overly dramatic art style. And
right.
it made me think of that. But just seeing our culture displayed in such full force and effect was it was powerful. It was powerful. And the fact that he also incorporated, it wasn't just us, he also incorporated other experiences, like you have what was his name, Bow and Grace.
Yeah,
um
Bone Grace. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That
and
Asian
then
culture.
also I mean, even what's her face, Mary, the
Yeah,
biracial experience, or that, as far as passing, incorporated that experience. There was also the inclusion of, our Native American brethren in the beginning. Like the way that he incorporated everything, I just thought it was so artful and weaving everything together. But I mean, I just thought it was powerful. And you know to see how powerful we can be.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
And
And you talking about the Sugar Shack painting, right?
yes, I think
Yeah,
that's the one. Yep.
yeah. The Sugar Shack painting. So, um, I think everybody loved that bar scene. I mean, not well, yeah, the club scene where Sammy started playing and then started showing different coaches or whatever. And
And
I was sitting
spanning
in
the
my
generations.
yeah, I was sitting with my fiance. She was like, "This is my favorite scene of all time." Like she just told me that straight out. She's like, "There's no scene in my mind that is better than what I just saw." And so, and like what Boogie was saying that he, had no idea it was a vampire movie. So somebody said that it wasn't a vampire movie; it was just a movie with vampires in it,
I
like
agree
fair,
with that.
like that kind of
fair.
thing, because it did overlap. And like the music and um especially I do like the fact that they highlighted the Asian culture within black culture in the South, because with Chinese they were in like our culture, especially like in Mississippi, like those places. And consistently on TikTok, and I forgot the woman's name, but she's Chinese, but the way she speaks though, she speaks very southern, like you wouldn't even know she's Asian by the way she speaks. And like, yeah, like we used to be here to here and here, and how Grace was like on, I guess, on the white side or whatever, and it can actually be that bridge, like serve everybody, but the black community was the people they were serving the most. And then as it's so many fan theories though, like so many fan breakdowns of this movie, as far as like with Asian culture, at some point or another, they were looking out for self, like in the future, and I guess that would kind of
Hmm.
highlight it with Grace a little bit, but overall though, this is definitely like my probably my in my top 10 movies because like it was a pure cinematic experience. Like what Boogie was saying, the way it was shot, the imagery and the aesthetic and the colors and everything else, like everything really meant something, you know.
I thought Smoke was a interesting character. I think Smoke was really because Smoke had a one track mind. He wasn't really easily swayed, but his brother was his that was his soft spot.
Yes, absolutely. And the fact that Michael B. Jordan played these two different parts, like you knew they were two different characters, and I feel
Right.
like that's amazing on this part.
That is. And to keep the vibe to yeah, that is really amazing. To keep the whole vibe of it too. To have
Hmm.
like feeling because I mean they were both each other's sweet spot or
Mm-hmm.
soft spot.
Yeah.
So for you to like develop a relationship with yourself,
Hmm.
that's got to be hard as an actor. You know what I mean? I didn't even think about that until just now, but that's true. And they couldn't be more different people either, Smoke or Stack.
And I think they talked about it. Like, how did you do that? Like, how did you like talk to yourself? Because they had a stand-in. Ryan Coogler said the actor's name that was like in front of him that kind of like had the same build as Michael B. Jordan. So when they was talking to each other, it's kind of like it was a lot easier to actually do that dialogue. And I also recognize the colors like they was wearing. Like it can mean a couple different things. Obviously Ryan Coogler's from Cali. So obviously, you got Bloods and Crips and stuff like that. But also Stack. Like Stack was one of the first victims. And look at red, you look at the color, that's the color of blood. Obviously, he ended up being a vampire at the end of the
Also,
day.
passion.
Oh, right. That's another
And what
thing.
happened? He got killed while he was in the throes of passion. So we listen.
No, yeah, he did, bro. What a way to go.
Listen, some of those lines, like that line to her, like that she gave to him, like, oh, so you could rob these banks and trains, but you afraid to rob. I was like,
Mm,
ma'am,
Look,
ma'am,
mm.
the Riz.
hey, I would have
She
folded like
knows what she
laundry.
want.
But he did though. He did.
Yeah, I
I
would. I
like
would have
it.
folded like a birthday card, bro. No doubt.
Hey, listen.
You need to get out your flesh.
You said that line. I was like, ooh, that thing's cold, man. I was like, But the women in this had Riz. Every single one of them.
I
Had,
loved Annie.
Hmm.
She rizzed Smoke up too. I was like,
she like, you about to remember. She said, you about to remember me. I was like, I like fold it again like laundry.
Bro, they were pissed that that they got rid of Annie.
I, I, I
That smoke drove that stake through her so she wouldn't be in that limbo.
man, Wumi Masaku, man, like look, ever since Lovecraft Country, I knew she was on her way. And I know Jonathan Majors got caught up in some stuff. And I think a lot of rumors have been circling around that Jonathan Majors was supposed to be the brother and not, it wasn't supposed to be twins originally. And Jonathan Majors was supposed to be the brother that was with Michael B. Jordan because they fit so well because of all this controversy or whatever. But if you look at Lovecraft Country, especially Wumi and Jonathan Majors, you knew full well they was on their way. And Wumi has been in Loki. She's been in Deadpool too. And she's been in like some supernatural stuff. And obviously she's in supernatural elements here in Sinners. Like she's done a phenomenal job. And I mean, I think she's British too, on top of all
she
that.
is.
Yeah, so
Yep.
What?
she's
She's
British.
British.
Oh.
Wouldn't even know that. Wouldn't even know that. Wouldn't even know that. Like she did good, but my favorite character though, my favorite character is my boy right here, man.
Listen,
My boy Delta Slim. My boy
Oh
Delta
yeah.
Slim. He was like,
Well, the way he
hold
went out was
wait,
funny though.
But
but wait, no,
Th-
but wait, but just getting him to come and play though, he handed him that Irish.
That beer.
He took that swig. He was like, "Oh my god."
oh my
He said,
god.
"You got some more of this." And he was 10 toes down talking about, "I'm not coming to your juke joint."
Yeah.
He
He's
was.
like, "Nah, you paying 2 night. You not paying every night." Said that shit
Yup.
with his chest 10 toes down. Like, I'm not going to your shit. And then he said, "Yeah, you can have these as many as you want and take whatever's at the door.
Immediately sign me up.
Sign me up."
No, it was like the next scene was him gassing Sammy up and then playing.
Yeah.
Yo, so here's the thing though, right?
But
Delta
then
Slim. Oh, go ahead. What you say?
no, go ahead.
So here's my fan theory. So Delta Slim is what Smoking Stack would have been if they would have been older, especially Stack.
He's
Like,
what?
he was
What they
Smoking
would have
Stack would
been?
have been what it would have been. Like so, the success that Smoking Stack had coming back from Chicago because they robbed the mafia basically, and so Delta Slim was telling his story in the car about how they was doing this and that and the third, and how everybody around him like pretty much died, but he was like the survivor person. In a way, he was unsuccessful. But he was like, the thing I'm holding on to right now is my music right here. I'm fine right here until that Irish beer hit. But that Delta Slim is the older version of Smoking Stack, really. It's kind of in a way foreshadowing. If none of the stuff that night transpired, it feel like they would have been kind of like that. Not drunkards, I don't think, because they weren't really viewed as being, drinkers like that. Um, but that's kind of how I looked at it. There was a lot of correlation between Delta Slim and Smoking Stack
The
between those two.
story that Delta Slim told in that car ride though was yeah.
Yeah, that thing is
That was
heavy. It was
that
heavy, but the way he turned it off like a light switch, you said, "You play music, ain't it? Go strum that." And like it was like he was
Mm-hmm.
telling the story. Go ahead and play the blues because that's also like a centerpiece too. Because some people don't realize that blues is like a centerpiece through a lot of music, especially in our culture. Um, but blues is what it is. It's blues. It's like it's sadness in it. There's anger in it. There's happiness in it. He was basically encouraging Sammy to play. So I really do love Delta Slim. And it was a lot of common belief. He was like, "Y'all don't smell that? I shat myself." Like, at least,
Mm,
I was like,
I think
I was like,
I shot myself.
I was like, that thing was hilarious. He was like,
wait, no, I like cornbread. It was funny. Like when Stack went to retrieve him,
yeah.
He said, "Man,
he
fuck
was
your
like,
wife."
mind your mouth. My wife is here. He was like, man, your wife too.
He was like,
Like, I
He's,
bet
he's
she be doing X, Y, and Z when she finds out how much I'm pay you. And she was like, hold on, how much?
yeah. She
And he
brought it
looked
back
at
into
her like, what?
yeah,
He said, "Man, I'm gonna have to whoop your ass." At first, he said, "Man, I'm gonna hold this. I'm gonna have to whoop your ass now."
But listen, she been thinking about that for a
He was
long
ready.
time. She was thinking
Yeah,
about that for a long time. She's like, "How much money are we talking?"
yeah,
I was like,
right.
Stack knew it. Stack knew what was up, man. Stack knew. First of all, why the hell are you gonna walk that far to go take a piss? All you had to do is turn to your left. Nobody else was coming in the juke joint. You
Right,
could watch the door
right. Cornbread fucked up, bro.
easily. You walk about 10 miles to go pee in the
I
what?
don't think he, honestly, I don't think he walked that far, but I think he ended up getting dragged further when they attacked him.
He walked past the cars. Why? Why did you do that? It was like anybody with a right mind is like, okay, you got these white folks coming up here, looking all strange all get out, and then you just say, nah, we're not gonna entertain you with the situation. And then you're like, oh, I gotta go pee. I'm gonna go that way where they just came
Mhm.
from, where they went to. Like, come on, cornbread, bro. Come on, man.
That I liked how the white people being the vampires initially symbolized so much as
Yeah.
to how like the vampires they came in
Mm-hmm.
and tried to co-opt, like they tried, and then they still managed to figure out how to get in and still drain.
Yeah, it did do that.
Mm.
And like with
He was
Remick.
good.
Remick
Yep,
was good.
Remick, he
Like
was good.
he was good. But here's the thing though. Remick wasn't racist. Like he wasn't racist. He was that gold, those gold pieces that he was giving Mary.
Mhm.
I was like, it just hit me like, wait a minute, that's Irish gold. That might be Irish gold. He said, I came from like way back when. But I think the thing is like, you know how when we talk about our culture and we talk about slavery and stuff like that, and people bring up Irish slavery or their culture being whisked away. That was basically Remick. Like whoever showed up, because I don't really know much about Irish history like that, but they basically been their history, their culture been pushed to the side, for religious purposes. They was looked at as less than. So the things that he was saying at the door was legitimate. He's like, listen, I know what you're going through. Like, I understand what you're going through. I've been through this. By the way, the mofo that sold you this place, he's coming back with a group full of people, and he's a grand wizard, and he's gonna shoot this place up. He won't kill all y'all. He said, so how about y'all? Let's all be together
So
and all this other stuff. But
for me, it was also interesting because I'm like, I'm super into horror, like especially anything to do with vampires. I read all of Anne Rice books,
mm-hmm.
like, and it was just interesting to see Coogler's characterization of the vampires in this movie.
Yeah,
Specifically, like with folklore, you have to invite them in. I think that was also kind of him speaking to like stop inviting everybody to the cookout. You need to
yeah,
be more
Yeah.
mindful of the spaces
that you
that
open up.
that you open up to others. But also, one, we know, like you were saying, because he had that Irish gold. Remick was old as hell. He
Yeah,
was an old vampire. Also, that's evident by how long it actually took him to die.
mm-hmm.
Um, but what was interesting to me is that I think that Annie said at some point that even if you kill the maker, that doesn't necessarily release those made under the maker.
Mm-hmm.
And in some folklore, I think with Dracula, that in Dracula, with the Dracula folklore, I mean, if you kill Dracula, then I think that releases. I'm pretty
Everybody
sure.
else.
Yeah,
Right.
but with that's not Twilight. That's not Anne Rice. Uh, but what was interesting to me was that when Sammy hit Remick with his father's guitar because it was silver
Mm-hmm.
and it injured him, all of the other vampires that he created
Felt it.
or were created by, because essentially he created a nest, he created a colony. All of them felt that same hurt that
Yeah.
he felt. But also one thing too that's characterized by vampires is that when you become a vampire, like Annie was explaining that because at first she thought they were a hate, but she said that they were basically something worse than that, where the person's soul is trapped and it just becomes, so saturated in hate and in violence and everything. Was that how the people who were changed, how their character really shifted?
Mm-hmm.
Which also kind of confused me because at the end, when we see Stack and Mary come back, they seem cool as hell. Like he was like, yeah, I promised Smoke I wouldn't do anything to you, but it's good to see you. Dap me up. I got all your records, and then they continued on their way. Like it was all cool. So it was just kind of interesting to see like how when they were turned into vampires, how their personalities kind of shifted. And I'm wondering if because Remick was killed, that helped Mary and Stack kind of regain some sense of who they were previously.
Yeah,
Because
that,
like if you take like the supernatural vampires, once somebody turns into a vampire according to supernatural, then that they're gone. It's not the same person at all.
yeah. Ash. What you think,
Even
Boogie?
with in the Van Helsing, like with what's his name? Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing. They
Yeah,
turn
we
into
turned to
vampires.
werewolf.
They were complete. Yeah. So it was
Which,
just interesting to see how he like played around with the folklore of vampires. But I'm wondering though that if because Remick died, you know, Stack and Mary were actually able to like they still have. I mean, they're still vampires, but I'm just interested. It was interesting to see them kind of revert more to how they were before they were turned.
yeah. What you think, Boogie?
Um, so when they first introduced Remick, he was running away from a group of Native Americans,
Hey, that shit
and
was funny.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, that shit was funny as hell.
the
He
Choctaw.
was,
Yeah.
yeah,
They were like, we
yep, they
got
were
to
low key
go.
on fire, and they were like, "Bro, listen, if you got him, he's bad. He shouldn't be in your house, but if you helping him, that's on you. It's getting dark. We could be out." But my thing is, how did they identify him? And like they were running him out. They were trying to catch him, you know?
Hmm.
So I guess were they armed? Did they know he was coming? Did they summon him on purpose? Like how was he? What was that story? I want to know
Who
what that
the
story was. Him
what
running
the
from
Like a prequel.
when Remick was running from those the yeah, like the prequel, I guess.
I
Like I
don't
want to know
they
why he
looked
was
like they
running
were
from those Choctaw people.
Yeah. Oh, they was hunting his ass. They was ready to
I
kill him.
mean like
That's what I'm saying.
we
Yeah.
saw like you said before Boogie how you know when they were referring specifically to like the different um you know the different types of all the different cultures
Hmm.
and what they referred to certain people as there is basis for vampirism in Native American folklore as well. And so to me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, they somehow were able to identify what he was, and they were trying to like nip that in the bud.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't want to. I mean, could they have further engaged those people? Yes, but at the same time, they were like, we don't want any additional conflict. He gonna kill you anyway, so we gonna head out.
Hmm.
No,
Um,
this is a classic case of fuck around and find out. This
yep.
this this, this is
Yeah,
what
it
this is
is.
because Choctaw was an Indian tribe, and if you really go back, if you want to go deeper into it, I mean, the indigenous. This is their land. So when Europeans came and took over this land, we just gave you a courtesy one time. Yo, we was chasing something. It came in. You think it came in this house? Look, if you're lying, cool. His homeboy, like Boogie says, like, hey yo, hey,
Right.
it get dark. You're like, you know what? Fuck it. You go handle your own business.
And
We want you dead anyway. So whatever.
Yeah.
So
it was also interesting to see how clever or how sly that they would try because they would try to use every which way type of ruse to get invited into whatever dwelling so that they could do whatever.
yeah.
Especially when they were at the juke and they initially came up and was like, oh yeah, we play stuff too, and then they did their little number and all everybody was at the door like,
But
nah.
except for cornbread, I'm like, you know what? I
They
gotta get
kind of good. Like, shut up, cornbread.
Well,
I
Anyway,
gotta get
I think like if you look at it historically, like oppressed communities, especially like Black, Indigenous, and other marginalized groups, have had their spaces invaded. their homes, their land, their music, their bodies, their cultures. And like I think that invasion came with no warning or
Mhm.
no permission. You know, like you think slavery, colonization, uh, redlining, cultural theft. You know, all of it was like done without invitation. You know, so it was just like pretty much, hey, we found it, we own it now. Like you know, we. I mean, from the beginning,
And
it's been that. You know, it's not nothing new. So the vampire myth, I think that flips the script. Like it's like almost right, like supernatural justice.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to come in unless we say so. So like not our homes, the culture, like the spirit, and like that threshold becomes sacred, you
and
know,
did
and it's
y'all
like the line
notice?
between respect and violation.
Did y'all
Yeah.
notice too how fast he was able to build that group of vampires, and as progressively and
Hmm.
how to say this,
Yo,
like
facts.
they
That's
just
great.
exploded.
Oh
They
man.
exploded in numbers. But initially, when it was just them three trying to get in, they then co-opted Mary because he said something to like, come on out here with your own people, kind of, but not knowing the
Hmm.
background. But like he, at the end of the day, he didn't care what she was because for whatever he was like, trying to he was trying to build off the allyship. And then when he bit her in such a place that was not noticeable, so
Yeah.
that she would be able to get back in without any. So it's basically like he infected her with his ideals or whatever, and she was able to then kind of insert herself as kind of like a sleeper cell and get in.
Yeah.
And then also too, it seemed as though like the more vampires that were created, especially the younger ones, they were less concerned with about concealing the damage that they were doing to other people
Hmm.
and turning them into vampires, because at that point, I mean, they were basically trying to co-opt there, because the need for them to camouflage themselves was gone,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like, so I don't know, like if you notice, like with Cornbread, like when he jumped on old boy that they mistakenly put outside because they thought he was, and he was
That
just
man,
wrecked.
I felt so sorry for old boy. I like cornbread.
Like
That's that man.
Cornbread mauled him, like. And even Bao, when he got turned, initially there was no
Yeah.
indication until he turned around and you saw the blood on his back that he
Yeah.
had been turned. Also the fact that Cornbread was over here mauling old boy and he was acting like that wasn't happening. So there was that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to me because again, have watched a lot of vampire movies to see how, like, from the older vampire Remick trying to be covert, and how he was kind of inserting, like, as a metaphor, his ideals to get
Mhm.
into the space.
The funny thing is, Remick has a lot of parallels with Killmonger, and so when you look at Killmonger as a character, outside of the comics, obviously, Killmonger is like, listen, I've been hurt, and I've lived in the states where people that look like me have been marginalized, people that look like me has been beaten, but I got access over here in Wakanda, and once I become king of Wakanda, we're gonna run this shit, and we're gonna run everything over. So he became what he hated. Same thing with Remick. Remick don't even see it because he understood the colonization because of his Irish people. Then he sees it with us, and he's like, I seen this movie before. We can change this. But he became the colonizer by turning people into vampires, basically. So you
Imposing what he wants on other people, right?
Mm-hmm,
exactly. So you kind of like
mm-hmm,
robbing him. I mean, yeah, he gave him the option because I mean, I think there's a lot of movies that Ryan Coogler pulled from. He said, for Dustin Dawn was an inspiration. He said, but more Salem's Lot than anything. I caught a little bit of Fright Night where, I learned about that rule where the only way to get in your house is if you actually invite them. in that kind of thing. And just like I feel like if Remick was having, obviously he could come in. If Remick was having a conversation with someone, like he's outside the window and somebody's like here, and someone actually make him realize, like, yo, you becoming what you hate. Like this, you are this. This is what you did not want. This is what you're doing. You know, that kind of thing. Now, when
I
you
don't think
know,
he would have ever came to that realization. He was far too old. He was far too set in his ways. I mean, he probably was hundreds of years old at that point.
Yeah, probably thousands. And now to your point with Stack and Mary bit Stack, and I know Remick bit Mary. So I think with Mary biting Stack, he has some obviously one thing that's been the same though within the vampire like horror that was created, they still maintain their memories. It's just that their streak of violence is kicked up because you know the hemoglobin is low.
Well, they lose their inhibition,
personalities change.
That conscience that is like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Like they just lose that.
Because Mary was like, bro, we finna kill everybody in here. Ha 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 ha, and ran out. She was never on that type of time. She was never on that type of demon time before she left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or like before she was bitten. So
but the thing is too is that
because of the hoodoo necklace that Smoke had on. Yeah, remember when he tried to bite Smoke, but he couldn't get that. Like some people say it was a silver around his neck, but I was thinking it was the hoodoo.
No, it was that hoodoo. And that's another thing too, is I feel like people really overlook the fact that Annie was a root worker.
Yeah.
Like and the importance of, you know, hoodoo, voodoo, and root work within our community, especially in those times, is often overlooked.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like that was like part of a central belief system for a lot of, you know, freed slaves at the time, and I thought it was great that he worked that in, because essentially, I mean, she really established herself as like the savior, because she was the one that imparted the knowledge on, listen, this is what we're dealing with, this is what we gonna have to do.
Yeah, she's like, no, these are vampires and they are way worse, and there's a way you can kill them. Silver, garlic, Delta Slim eating that garlic. I was like, please don't Delta, don't Slim.
Right.
He was like,
I'm surprised that she just told them, you know, like just a stake through the heart. I was like, usually decapitation also works wonders, but I guess he didn't want to go that route of gore. Usually burning,
makes sense.
stake through the heart, decapitation.
Yeah, absolutely. And
holy water.
Now another person you need to talk about is Pearlmina. Like Pearlmina, focus on yourself, King. That's all I'm gonna say. Focus on yourself.
Wait. She was like, Sammy is for the streets too.
How?
Because she was like, I need to freshen up, and he was like, I don't care. I was boy, she been sweating on the dance floor, like, ugh.
Hey, listen, she was like, I need to watch up.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you,
we don't care.
That was he's like, I don't care.
Ever since
what was he say? He said, I just want to taste it.
Yeah, that's it. But Stack told him. Stack told him in the car. He was like, hey man, you know, and we came by the door, he was like, found that button. And he walked away. He's like, that's my boy.
He said, he said, go get Stack. He said, okay. Open the door. Saw them doing what they do. Came back. He said, didn't I tell you to go get Stack? He said, yeah, he's busy right now. I didn't ask if he was busy. I told you to go get him. I ain't saying shit to him. If you ain't get me the first time,
I ain't going back in there by myself.
Right. I ain't doing that.
Right.
But I do like the father-son relationship between Sam. And a lot of people don't realize that Miles Catton, this is his acting debut. This is his first movie role.
Really?
Yeah. So the person that told him, he said it on TikTok, the person that told him to try out for this is her, because he goes on tour with her. Like he plays her. He like, you need to go check this out. And then I guess he did audition with Ryan, and then he get a phone call, and boom, this is his acting debut. So, which was crazy. consider that fact that he's the main character. Also the Christianity aspect of it, because like with Southern Baptists, there's a lot of the blues was the devil's music, that kind of thing. It was like secular music. But the unique thing that I realized with Sammy's dad is Sammy's dad gave him free will. He knew his son played blues, but he never imprisoned him and said, you can't play blues up in this house. He never said that. He like, you're going to learn something by going to the devil's house. You keep going around the devil, he's going to follow you. That kind of thing. Foreshadowing, basically. But Sammy like, when I'm going to play tonight, but I'm going to be here first thing in the morning for church or whatever. He was like, all right. That kind of thing. I did like that relationship that they had. Unlike Smoke and Stack's dad, which we never saw. And
we heard about.
Yeah. Was it Smoke that killed his dad, or was it Stack?
It was Smoke.
It was Smoke. Okay. Yeah, so
because he beat Stacks, beat him up real bad. Yeah.
So like with him, and then with Stack lying saying that was Patton's guitar, it Smoke's like, that ain't Pat's damn guitar, man. That's our daddy's. Like, what are you talking about?
But he still didn't let it go though. He still didn't let it go.
That shit, when he said, "Who told you that?" in the movie theater, bro, I was dying. He said, "It's Pat's damn guitar." He said, "Who told you that?" I was cracking
there were so
up.
many like little moments like that where you just had to like, that's us.
Yeah.
Wait. In the beginning where Stack shot them two in the street, he was like, now go ahead and scoot out to see. And then he walks in and you hear him in the background. He's like, move. He was like, nigga, I need help. I was cracking up. I was like, damn, why'd you gotta shoot him in the kneecap though?
But you know what? Even that small situation was so crazy, because I read somewhere that obviously you look out for your own. Yeah, they try to rob you. Then you're like, oh, I didn't know this was your place, Smoke. Like, you didn't know that?
And then she was like, no, yeah, they did, because I told them.
I told him.
We didn't believe her.
Why you lying out here? And that dude way over there, he just kept like, bam.
Hey, you can tell Smoke didn't even want to shoot him. He said, oh, him over there? He's like, bang. He's like, I'm gotta shoot him too.
Like, I can't have everybody thinking that I spared you for
that I almost got robbed. Like, we can't have that.
Nah, we ain't doing that.
That was so funny.
Now, the thing is, like with Grace, right? People are split with her because it's like, man, like, no, shut your mouth. Like, they ain't going after your daughter, man. They're trying to invite themselves in. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people broke this down too, that scene down too, saying that when some people in the Asian community turned on us, and when it came down to how they was being treated or whatever the case may be. But like, how would you handle that situation though? Like, if you was beside Grace, like, would you chop in the throat? Or would you?
Oh yeah, though she'd have to go to sleep, bro. Not permanently, but like I'd have to choke her out, bro. You just gotta ride it out till daylight.
I think did she? Okay, so there was that one part when like the big doors open and then they all came in. Was that because? Did she tell them to all come in?
Yeah. She said, "Come on, bring it on. Come in here and give it to it," or you know what I mean. Come get it.
She said, "Come on in, you motherfuckers." I think she said something.
But didn't? Okay.
But she was the first one she was on the front line. She was the first one that charged in because she hit her husband and she kept stabbing him while she was on fire. You went out like a G. I can't even be mad at that. But I say this though.
I think people need to remember that when he she is a mother.
Yeah.
And when he threatened her, because even, her daughter already from the jump is a suspicious, she's suspicious. Like, the way she was looking people up and down, I don't think that they would have been able to get into the house anyways, because she would have peeped something and been like, nah.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. She's suspicious. Yeah, you're right.
But she's a mother, and so she was acting based off of her mother's instinct initially, damned everybody else, and so I can't completely fault her for that, but then it also felt like it seemed like everybody else was on the same accord because they all armed themselves and lined up, and then the doors opened and she was like, come on in here and get this. Like they were all on the same accord to me. So I think that people are pissed off at her. I mean, yes, technically all they had to do was wait.
That's it. And they were, and on top of all that, Bo wasn't going over there. Like, I mean, nobody left that circle. They still stayed right there at that barn because the one person that they wanted was inside. They wanted Sammy and his music. Like they wanted that. And nobody else mattered. And a lot of people was like saying, well, he could have went into town to do that. They would have been done that. They should have done that. They should have done that like the past hour ago, but they didn't do it. So
they wanted Annie too.
Really? Well, not
because remember they did want
because
Annie
in their perfect world, Stack and Mary and Smoke and Annie were all going to be together and be one happy family and all that good stuff. And so when Stack was the one that bit Annie to turn her, and then he got super pissed off when Smoke killed her because that's what she asked him to do if that were to happen.
Right.
And then and then Mary also too was freaked out and pissed off because I don't think they thought that he was going to do that.
Yeah. Maybe.
And it's crazy that he was able to do that to Annie, but he couldn't do it to Stack.
Maybe that was a turning point though. Like when Smoke did what Annie wanted him to do, maybe that was a turning point for Stack and Mary. It's like, dang, what we wanted, we thought what we were doing was right in this situation. Even though now I got to fight against my own instincts to bite mofos, but again, the hoodoo bag probably like kept it going with Stack. Anyway, so he grabbed Mary and bumped out and went up under the trees and all that. But
did he do that before Remick was? They did that before Remick got Sammy, right?
I think what happened is that Mary and Stack was in the barn, like when it was daylight, and they didn't go outside. I think they stayed in the barn because it kind of showed them running off into the trees, but it was nighttime. Like when they did a little flash. I think it went so when Smoke, because he still ain't forgot about the Grand Wizard and the KKK pulling up. When Smoke littered their bodies with bullets.
Listen, that was my second favorite. I'm sorry, y'all. That was my second favorite. I was like,
Hey, listen. Look. I don't condone violence, but when it comes to the KKK and what they was planning on doing,
if you're grown enough to talk back, you're grown enough to get fucked up.
All the smoke.
Like, I mean, I just wish showed him sort of Grand Wizard getting popped off with bullet stuff. They had to do that off screen. You could show me that. You could do like a little.
What was funny too was like, you got a cigarette, and he was like, I don't got no cigarette. But then he handed him a cigarette.
Yeah.
And then Smoke is out here seeing Annie with their daughter, and he's like, I'm gonna go join them. Yeah. And then you have old boy on the ground who pipes up. And Smoke looks at him and takes the gun. It's like, I was like, he was just like one moment.
Like, I feel like, bro, you could have lived if you shut your damn mouth. Because he was having a heavenly moment right here. I'm like, man.
Listen, I don't think that there was a lot of palm colored people in the theater, and that part came up, and I don't think they were prepared because they were like,
are you shot?
Yeah.
Are you shot? Like we condone that kind
like literally they rolled up and was like, we about to go coon hunting. Like what?
Yeah. We wasn't gonna do that. Like, nah, this was for us. This is for us. I like, it was so many things. Like backing up to when Smoke shot those two dudes in the street. Yeah, he paid for their treatment because we had health insurance. Looking out for the community.
I
you try to steal.
Insurance was a thing even back then.
Well, you know, sure,
Right.
but you know how the proper care. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The proper care. So yeah, I shot you below the knees. It won't be attempted murder. You ain't gonna die from it. But Grace, go ahead and handle them wounds for me, please. While we at it, can you make this sign? Go to the juke joint, and like I felt Smoke's pain when he was flashing back, and how everybody pulled up and set up for that night. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
the man
Like
couldn't
the
even smoke.
community came together to make this
Yeah,
to make this happen. And had there been no vampires, had there been no vampires,
Mm-hmm.
that probably would have been a
and they
situation
still
too.
rolled up, oh, people would have got lynched for sure.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and
They would have
because they was
shot, they would
unarmed.
have killed anybody who was. Yep.
Yeah, they was unarmed because all the guns was in the back of the truck. Because I know they mentioned that. So I like so damage
Yeah,
to do,
he
damage
did
to
say,
don't.
because he was like, "Where's the trunk?" He was like, "Where's the trunk?" And they're like, "Oh, it's outside." And they were like,
We shouldn't
"Why is
need
it
it.
out?" He was like, "I forgot to bring it in."
You don't forget the bullets, man. You don't forget the toolies, man. You cannot do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the thing is that even if the vampires hadn't shown up, the KKK was gonna show up.
Yeah,
So
they was gonna pull up.
I
I mean,
mean,
they
and
pull
they
up
did
early.
show up. So
They pull up early in the morning though. They pull up in daylight. Like
Yeah, it did. They
one would
pull up in
think
daylight.
you would pull up at night. You know what I'm saying? Because that's we'll party all night, but I don't know. But
I also thought it was interesting too how, now that I think about it, how they pulled up without their hoods.
yeah, yeah. Now I will say though, maybe there is a final cut, like director's cut, and maybe there's some extra scenes there. And there's like one other thing that we need to talk about because this was so important to Ryan Coogler and what he wanted to do with the movie, because this really was about ownership, because he mentioned that. And so he said, so American and Southern legacy of white supremacy at the moment when teaching the uncomfortable history of race in America being outlawed, we can safely identify Coogler as such. Often do this, produce revelatory work that is at once prophetic and a sign of the times in the national culture. Now, Coogler requested and received a rare stake in his studio-produced film, securing from Warner Brothers first dollar gross points, final cut, and ownership of the film in 25 years. And unnamed senior Hollywood executive told Vulture that some other studios are freaking out over Coogler's deal, and that it's a very dangerous precedent that could be the end of the studio system. Not so fast. Coogler's one film deal is rare, especially for an African American director, but it neither exists in a vacuum nor marks the fall of Hollywood studio system. Notably, Coogler explained that he saw ownership for this specific project because it is inspired by his family's history in Mississippi and has an extra personal significance to him. I know LeVar Burton went to go see it like Thursday,
Mhm.
and he says Sinners is an extraordinary accomplishment by all parties involved, both in front of and behind the camera. Michael B. Jordan feasts, as does the rest of the cast. However, make no mistake, this is Ryan Coogler's triumph. Next level storytelling, get the to a movie theater. So
Have you ever, okay, so you know how Leonardo DiCaprio is as to Martin Scorsese?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Do you
Samuel
get
Jackson
that?
is
Do you get
to
those? Do you get, yeah, and Samuel L. Jackson is as to Tarantino. Do you
mhm,
get the same vibes with Michael B. Jordan and
absolutely,
Coogler? Yep. Hell yeah.
absolutely. Ever since Fruitvale Station, they was joined. They was joined to the hip.
Yep.
For sure.
And Michael B. Jordan actually did some directing in this movie too, like with certain scenes. Because that,
Hmm.
but I don't know you found that clip yet where Coogler and Jordan was beside each other.
No.
Coogler obsessing over the film, but yeah, that I feel like Michael B. Jordan is his muse when it comes to like certain acting points. And I think Jonathan, if it, God rest his soul, Chadwick
Chadwick.
Boseman, yeah, I feel like he was going to be the next person,
Hmm.
and Jonathan Majors was going to be the other one as well. But I like the fact that he's giving like Miles Catton, like we didn't know that this was his acting debut until it was revealed it was his acting debut. And I think Haley Stanfield, I think in real life, like I think her grandparents, something like that, is like half black or something like that. So
Yep.
It's so many layers to this thing, man. But this deal that he did, people freaking out over it, you know. Nah, I feel like this particular film is something that he just wanted to have because it got family significance.
Yeah, bro, for sure. I definitely get that. Like, I think it's weird for you to not understand that. You know what I mean? Like, for you to not understand where somebody's coming from with that is odd.
You know, people. I'm not surprised by that. Honestly, in this day
I
and
mean,
age,
sure, but I'm
people
just
are.
saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's very, I feel like that's perfectly sound logic. You know what I
It
mean? Like,
is, but we are
so
not
you
living
know,
in a
it's,
perfectly
oh, it's
sound.
a, if this person gets to do it, then everybody should be able to get to do it, and this, that, and it's like, bro, that's what I'm talking about, bro. Just shut the, just shut it.
Like, bro, you mad though? Y'all out here mad at this
Yes,
man
they're
getting ownership?
haters, bro. They have to. Oh, I have to. I need to do it too. I want it too. It's mine too. I
No.
want it too. Fuck, bro. Oh my god. Don't even get me started.
And just like Variety was trying to play.
Yeah, I was just about to say. You see that how Ben Stiller piped up? He was like,
Like, why did you fix your mouth to even say that? Like, why would you even say that for a film that someone created, an original film, not a franchise, an original film, and the level of success that it made? What possessed you to say something like that? You know what I mean? So, I mean, Pedro Pascal went to go see it. He posted it. He like, go see the freaking movie. That kind of thing. Like, I
That's
feel
my
like
guy.
he dies a lot.
He does.
Yeah, Pedro, he dies like he's like a pop. You know what? He's
That's
like Carl
Piccolo.
Weathers. Yeah, but nah, he ain't Piccolo. Piccolo don't die like that. That's Krillin. Krillin dies like that.
There's Krillin.
yeah, but he still be coming back. So
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of which, have y'all seen Last of Us episode 2?
Last of Us,
Yeah,
I haven't started. I haven't watched that.
you
Me
played the
neither.
game though, right?
No.
Ooh, never mind. I can't speak on it. There's things.
Is that on Xbox?
Last of Us is on everything.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can get
I
Last of
just
Us.
never got into. Listen, the extent of my zombie games was Resident Evil,
Yeah.
and that was it.
I wouldn't call it zombies, but I will say
Creatures?
it was a more realistic take on things because it's how things happen is through plants, fungus.
Well, yeah, it's based off of that actual fungus that like takes over the bodies of insects, and
Yeah, it just
That's
did it on
crazy.
a way faster, way wider scale. And but yeah, and also the combat in it is a lot more realistic in a way when you look at it and how you traverse different areas and stuff like that. So I think that's also a thing with it.
So
well.
the previews for the movie. Did you see the preview for Until Dawn?
No.
Yeah.
I was pissed off. I was like, "What kind of horseshit is this?"
A lot of people felt that way.
I'm like, how do you get a time loop out of that? The source material. Where the did that come from?
Yeah.
That's
Man.
not. You, name it something else because that absolutely is not Until Dawn. It's absolutely not. Like,
She
Wait,
said,
where did you get that in the source material? That's a fact.
she said, where you get
it
this
is.
horse shit?
It's so far from the original game. It's so far.
Man, it's one of those things.
I'm sorry. I saw that preview and I was like, this is stupid. Oh, and then they also had a preview for Final Destination Bloodlines. There are some franchises that I just need them to let go.
Yo, this is my man's final movie, like before he passed away. So I can't crap on it too much.
Wait, who's final? Who?
Todd, the Candyman. You remember he passed away. This is last movie. Now, also though, I feel like this may be the best Final Destination movie because of how it's being portrayed. Because this person has a family lineage of ducking death, and it's going through her family. Like she has a whole book on preventing these things that happen. Like she know what this is. She know what's going to happen. You have to avoid this too. And it's not like random people this time. It's
I'm just
it's a
confused
family
as
ancestry.
to how death allowed her to have an entire lineage. Like,
Yeah.
bro was lacking because
Yeah.
they
How
got
did you fuck up that many times, bro? You would be demoted if this was like the.
But you gotta think about
stop
it, though.
fucking. If you're death, bro, I'm gonna need you to get your target.
But you gotta think about it though. She has clairvoyance. Like she sees this stuff before it happens. So that's the challenge for the entity that you cannot see. You know what I'm saying? You can't just like boom, heart attack. They can't give it to you like that.
I don't think I'll be able to watch that. I gave up on what was the last Final Destination movie I saw? What was the one with wasn't there one with Devin Sawa in it? I just remember
I don't know what that is.
I just remember it was like in an alley
Neither do I.
and then they fell off like the fire escape and then the ladder came down in their head.
Oh, that's the first one. That's the first one.
That can't be the first one.
That is the first one.
Okay,
That-
well, what
that's
about
still
the
got-
logs on the truck?
That's the second one.
And then there was an airplane. Is that the
That's
third?
the first one. The airplane was
Damn,
the first one.
how do you remember that?
Because they were traumatic. They were
Very
traumatic.
I can't remember that.
Yeah,
It
the,
was
the
the third
airplane
one was the one with the wood in the back of the truck, right? The wooden logs. That was the third one.
That was the second one. That was the second one.
What about the one with the shower curtain?
That was the first one.
I don't know. I think I might. I don't remember the third one at all.
I think you're just saying that shit, bro. I think
Nah, you talking about dude slip and he almost strangled himself to death?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Final Destination.
Because they
There
survived the
are
plane.
6 movies.
Yeah.
There are 6.
Yeah.
Oh no!
That's
Final
funny.
Destination 3 was the roller coaster
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that came out in 2006.
Yeah. I think,
Final Destination 4 was
yeah. Racetrack.
I don't know that I saw that one.
That probably was Racetrack. The NASCAR
Yeah, that
race.
was. And then Final Destination 5 was 2011, and that was
I didn't watch that.
a bus ride.
Yeah, that I didn't watch that one. But
I haven't
when you
seen
say
that one.
plane, that's the first one. When you say car accident with the logs, that's the second one. That
So-
is so
Bloodlines is number 6.
yeah, Bloodlines is definitely more centered around this one person that's been ducking and been
I
and
don't-
she never lost her clairvoyance. Like
I
she
don't
always
think
see
I'm
things.
gonna. I the last Final Destination I actually watched was the third one, so I don't because it came out in that span of time where it was like the horror was just getting like ridiculously gratuitous because I think it was also during that span of time where we had the Saw movies, the Hostel movies, and I was just like,
Burnt out.
yes, I'm like, what type of drugs are y'all taking to come up with these super creative ways, especially with the Saw franchise? I'm like, what do y'all be shooting into your veins to come up with these
The first
fantastical ways?
the first
to die.
one to me will always be the best one.
What, the first Saw?
Yes, because that man was laying there the whole entire time, and when he popped
That was
up at the end of the movie, I was like,
a twist. That was a
I was
twist.
like, yo, this whole time, like, bro,
Yep.
this movie could have been over in like 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, the one that got me was the one with the bear trap
That is the first
with
one.
the shotgun. No, the bear trap with the shotgun shells. Like it was was he an officer? He had to try to rescue his wife before the trap went off and all the shells went off and basically blew. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't make it in time.
Didn't make it. Didn't make it.
Not at all. And then
Well,
there
it-
was one with like 2 big ice cubes and they came in like,
Yeah. So the first one and the other one where I think it was called Jigsaw. I think he saved
there was
this
one
little
called
boy.
Spiral.
I didn't see that one. I didn't
That
see
one was. I started watching that one. That had Chris Tucker in it.
Chris Rock. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris Rock. Yeah, I think it's still on Netflix.
Yeah.
It might be on Hulu. I forgot. I think it's still on one of them.
Yeah, the first one and the one with Jigsaw, I think it's called Jigsaw, when he saved the little boy's life, the little soccer player boy, because he thought he was getting cured from his ailment, but they stole money from him.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. So, that one, yeah, those two, because those two respectively had like twists in it. But either way, but yeah, man, this is our show for today, man. Good dialogue when it came down to Sinners, man. Going back to check it out one more time.
Heck yeah.
Great show. Great movie. Gotta watch
Go see it. Go see it multiple times.
That movie
get those dollars up.
That movie damn near wanted me to get into filmmaking, man, because I'm like, man, this
do it.
Some Scorsese stuff right here. And like, no, I mean, because Coogler is up there, man. Like, by the end of it, Coogler is going to be like, this is his best work yet. And he's just getting started. Oh, before we go, how well do you think a prequel will do? Like, centered around Smoking Stack in Chicago?
I think that the story probably gets a little bit convoluted there because that don't really have nothing to do with, I guess, the point of this film, right?
I mean, yeah, well, sort of. Go ahead.
Unless, so like you said before, that somebody was like, this is not a vampire movie. This is basically a movie that has vampires in it.
Yeah.
So if he's going to follow that same formula, unless that there's some kind of otherworldly force that explains their time that he can kind of weave in as a metaphor for the prequel, I don't know that will actually, I don't know. He would have to do something.
Right.
I would be interested to see what happened after, though.
I will say this, though. It can be done because Army of the Dead, that's on Netflix with Batista, the prequel was Army of Thieves, but it didn't have zombies in it. They had zombies in the background because of what was going on TV, like people getting infected in Vegas. They mentioned that in the background on TV, but that wasn't the centerpiece. So it could be one of those situations where they leave Mississippi and go to Chicago, and you see what they deal with in Chicago, because what happened in Chicago will get them back to Mississippi. You know, especially dealing with Al Capone and how they turned the mobs against each other and stole money and guns. So
I will also say to our audience that go and look up some of this movie was not only, a way to, served as a commentary on various things that's going on within the world today, or like our society where we currently are, but it also serves as a good point of reference to look up Black literature, because he made multiple references to a lot of Black literature, Black plays in his various depictions throughout this movie. So go look those up. This is your your call to action to go out and read more Black literature. Go read August Wilson. Go read go read Ma Rainey. Like, go read those titles.
Indeed, man, indeed. And you got anything else for the listeners out there, Boogie Blends?
Man, make sure you get out there, check out Sinners. Great film. You'll want to watch it more than once.
Indeed. Vivo, what you got? Anything else for the listeners?
Go out and support. Be great.
That's right, y'all. And so until next time, peace.